So hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. The August core update hit many websites, and some websites were hit harder than others. And this is like any other core update. The problem with the August core update is that there's a lot of misinformation about it. And when a business owner reached out to me later on in December, who had been hit by the August core update, I decided to work on their website, helping them recover from the update. Now, this was not the only business owner that reached out, by the way. There are quite a few that reached out. Out of them, I took three as clients, and the goal was to recover them from the August core update. Now, not only were they hit by the August core update, but they also saw a slight dip in traffic during the December update. And so when we started working on the site, I told them this will take at least 6 to 8 months before we see any given results. And the reason I said that was because A, their websites were relatively new. So the website I'm going to show you today has been around for around 2 years to the date. And the other problem was that these were mainly content heavy websites. Even though they did offer a service, they were content driven websites and they had some AI content that you could attribute to skilled content abuse. So I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. So there could be quite a few reasons why these websites were hit. So I went ahead and started working on the website. Today, as you can see from the graph, they have recovered from the update. They're on the right track, and within another month or two, these guys should be back to where they were prior to the August core update. And the December update did not do them any favors, and the update in March kind of didn't do them anything. They were going up anyways. And in this video, I'm going to show you what I did to recover these websites. And there's no secret here. This is exactly what I did. Uh, and if you have a website that has been hit by the August core update, you might want to follow these steps and try to recover your website. Now, the caveat here is that the August core update hit different websites for various reasons. So if your website was hit because you had extensively used AI content and a lot of your pages were not well positioned, then, that's going to be a different recovery process. And so for each for each use case, there's a different recovery process. I just want to clarify this so if someone reaches out to me to help them with recovering their website, just want to make sure that this is the second thing we want to keep in mind is that this isn't a 100% thing. I cannot guarantee that you will recover your website. I cannot guarantee anything. People call me up, people send me emails, people reach out to me, and they say, can you guarantee? There is no guarantee. The thing is, I put in the work, I figure out what's going on, and I try recovering the website. There is no guarantee. I cannot guarantee that you will recover. What I can say is that I have a very high likelihood of recovering websites. So my recovery rate is a lot higher than, someone who doesn't do this for a living. Okay. Let's just put it at that. So let's get the video. Okay. So this is the website in question. Now I'm going to black out the URL for the site. I'm not going to tell you who the client is. I'm not going to do any of that. What I will show you is how we recover from the August core update, which everyone says is impossible to recover from. This is a content-heavy website. Now they have a service which is in the real estate industry, which is again a very hard industry to rank in if you're in the U.S. I'm not sure about other regions, but if you're in the U.S., the real estate agency, the real estate, the real estate industry is very hard to rank for. Let's just say that. It's highly competitive. So this is the August core update. So this is when they were hit around August 13, 14. Right around the time the August core update was around, these guys just plummeted. Okay. And this is not a very old site. Like I go back to 16 months. They've been around for maybe around 2 years at this point. And you can see they were kind of doing okay. The website was growing and, there was a period where the website was doing okay. And then they got hit by the August core update. Now, as I say, like when you have been hit by a core update, it's easy to say, you know what, we're not going to recover. The problem with that approach is usually it's if you don't recover from the first core update, you're going to get hit even harder by the next core update. And then if you don't try to recover from that, you're going to get hit even harder by the third core update. So when I have clients come in and I see their websites have been hit multiple times, so over the past 2 years, these guys have lost traffic consistently. I mean, every core update or every, spam update, these guys have lost traffic. Then my approach to that is to tell them, you know what, you're not going to recover in 3 to 4 months. In this case, we are able to get back on track in 3 months. Okay. So they came to me in December. I started working with them in late December, early January, and you can see their website is starting to improve. Now, there are issues with this, which I will discuss in this video. I'll also discuss how we recovered this site and how you can do it for yourself. Um, the caveat being that it is still a technical process. It's still a process that, you need to know a lot about, which we'll go into. So as you can see, they were hit over here and around December. And December is usually when they do the most business in this industry. But in this case, they didn't do much business because they were hit. So we started working on their site. And as you can see, there is a slight recovery over here. And then right around January, it climbs up. Okay. It goes from here. It goes from over here to over here. Okay. So there is like a 6,157 impressions. It jumps to around now 9,000 impressions. And then it starts going up and up and up and up. And it starts improving. The same goes for our average position. Now, over here, our average position is around 37 because we've lost all of our keywords. But as I'll show you in the recovery tactic that we use, why this average is low. But once we started working, this average kind of went down as we went back a bit, back up again, because over here at this point, we were ranking for a lot more keywords, which are not on the first page. The second page, third page, fourth page keywords, because they're beginning to re-emerge again. So that brings down the overall average, which would make average position a little deceptive. But from there, when we started to recover, like those pages started to move higher up in the SERPs, and those keywords started to move higher up in the SERPs because your average position has started to improve. Now, where we've not been able to improve, I'll just pull up in the past 6 months over here. And this is something now which is going to be the focus for our team on this website is that, despite, despite the improvement in our impressions are growing. Our CTR has not grown with this. So if you take a look at our CTR has actually gone down. Now, this can be for multiple reasons that I'm not going to discuss in this video necessarily, because it has little to do with recovery. But now the focus is on improving the CTR for this website. And most experts will tell you the best way to improve your CTR is to redo your descriptions, make it more clickbait and all. That's just one part of CTR recovery. There's a lot more to it, which, I mean, it's a whole separate video in itself. But this is, right now we need to improve our CTR for this site, which wasn't great to begin with. Like if 6 months ago, their CTR was around 8, now their CTR is around 0.4%, which means it has gone down by 0.4%. Anyways, so what did we do to recover this website? I also just want to show you, but since these guys are in the US, how they rank specifically in the US. So this is the US, and you can see, it's not that they're getting crap traffic from other places in the world, but they are getting traffic from the US. So we'll just pull the past 12 months up. And so you can see the recovery were specifically, in the US. So we're recovering in the US. Um, and this is our average position that actually kind of dipped even during our recovery because most of our keywords were page 2 and 3. But there were new keywords that had reappeared once we started optimizing the website. So the next thing is how did we recover a site, and how will you continue to recover this website? All right, so this is the recovery steps that we used. Now there are more steps to this, and there are more sub steps to this, which I will go into now. You have to be familiar with how SEO works to know how these steps work. So for the first thing we did was we ran a scan of the website to figure out what's going on. And we saw that there were a lot of pages that were very similar in terms of content. All of those pages were mainly AI generated. Now this wasn't a large site. This was maybe a 300 page website. And so when I checked, there were a lot of pages that were similar. We then removed a lot of the cannibalizing content. This was harder than you would think because we're trying to find content that's ranking, and then the content that's cannibalizing those rankings. You can use an automated tool, but most automated tools aren't great. So even if you're using an automated tool, you have to, you know, do some manual work. So I just decided to do it manually. So the first step was to remove all the cannibalizing content. And once we did that, we waited for around a week. So the first month was mainly just removing all the cannibalizing content. The next thing is we then, during our second month, we did a full technical SEO. Now, if you want to know about technical SEO, I have a full video on technical SEO. You can go there. It's on my channel. It's for free. Go and watch my full technical SEO tutorial. So we then did a full technical SEO of the website. And what we also discovered during our technical SEO was in the past, they had a whole bunch of spammy pages that they have removed. But the problem was that there were a lot of remnants from those spammy pages that were still being crawled by Google. So that has to be removed. So once we did this, we waited for a week and then we isolated our power pages. Um, Page isolation is when you try to find pages that are of the most importance. Okay, so those pages will separate your website from all the other pages. Now you would normally think that the service pages are of most importance, and you would be right. But then there are also pages that are less important, but they are also important. For instance, that's about the service provider or about the service in the region. Mm. So most SEOs don't really think about those pages because they don't want to rank them. But in our case, we want those pages to also rank. So we had to pinpoint our pages and isolate them. And by isolating them, what we meant was we removed all internal links to those pages. And that's done temporarily. And we just want to see how those pages stand on their own. So that's page isolation. So we removed all the internal links. Then we started to rebuild the internal links, and not to the isolated pages, but mainly to the internal pages themselves. So we're looking at anchor text. We're also looking at uh, internal links that are from nonsensical pages, pages that are, have loads and loads of internal links that have no, it makes no sense to have them. So we also looked at that, and also what types of internal pages are linking. If the page did not have any power of its own, then it's pointless. Okay, so we have to look at all of that. Next thing we did was we optimized our power pages. So these were the pages that we had isolated. Once we optimized our power pages, which is the pages we isolated, we then started building internal links to these pages, and that is where you actually start seeing the improvements. That is where you actually start seeing the improvements, which I show you. This is where you start seeing the improvement. Okay. This is when we actually started we started re-optimizing the power pages. And you can see around February, that's when it starts to go up. Okay. And then now we're in the process of semantic content creation. And that is going to be a big part of our strategy to improve our click-through rates to the website. And also, these will be powerful pages that we can then internally link to the pages that we had isolated or identified as being our power pages to further boost their rankings. And then we're going to do a few other things to improve our click-through rates. But this is part of the strategy that we're using. Now, we're still 3 months away from a complete recovery, by my calculations. I actually told him it's going to take a year, but 3 months in, we're already doing a pretty good job. So probably 3 months more. And at that point, they can decide whether they want to retain my services or if they want to go ahead and do it themselves or hire some other agency to do it. But this is how I recovered from the August core update. So if you guys like the video, like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and I will see you guys in the next video.